Hi students, this is Ms. Waldorf here, ready to teach you everything you need to know about triangles and the angles that compose them. Feel free to like or subscribe. I wouldn't be bothered if this channel gets monetized. Okay, on to our lesson. So, angle classification. There are some rules associated with how and why we can name angles what we name them. So first off, we have 4 different names that we use to call different sized angles. And that would be right angle, acute angle, obtuse angle, and then straight lines or straight angles. And we determine what we name an angle based on its measurement. So looking at right angles, clearly both of these angles have 90-degree measures. And that's because in order to name something a right angle, its measure has to be equal to 90 degrees. Another important thing to notice is that each of those 90-degree angles have boxes in the corner. Honestly, that box is all we need to say that it is a right angle. But sometimes you have the right angle and the box, which is just a double bonus. So, on to acute angles. Acute angles are always going to measure less than 90 degrees. So that is why angles measuring 80 degrees and 30 degrees are both classified as being acute. Now, obtuse angles have to be greater than 90, but also less than 180. So as long as an angle is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees, then you can classify it as being obtuse. So that is why this 100-degree angle and this 120-degree angle are classified as being obtuse. On to straight lines or straight angles. The rule is that these must be equal to 180 degrees. If you have an angle or a straight angle or a straight line that is equal to 180 degrees, then we are going to call it a straight line or a straight angle. I like this because I think it's pretty clear. Looking at this line here, that's pretty straight, and that's why we call it a straight angle or a straight line. So please remember these names and the measurements that we use to dictate why one is acute or why the other is obtuse. And we are going to classify these angles on the next page. So we have 6 measurements listed for us, and we need to classify these based on the size of the measurements. So feel free to pause this video if you want to do this solo, but I'm just going to go through and name each of these based on their size. My first degree measure is 180 degrees, and I know that if an angle is equal to 180 degrees, we classify it as a straight line or a straight angle, and I'm going to name it as such. Next one, we have a 178-degree angle, and this is going to be classified as being obtuse. It is obtuse because it is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180. Next, we have a 68-degree angle. This is classified as being acute because it is less than 90 degrees. Then we go over here and we have a 90-degree angle, and we should know that all 90-degree angles are right angles. On to the next one, we have a 146-degree angle. This is going to be classified as obtuse because it is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180. And lastly, we have no degree measure. We just have a box. But what we should know at this point is that this box means 90 degrees. And 90-degree angles are always classified as being right angles. Okay? So thank you for your efforts towards classifying angles, and now we're going to move on to the angles that compose a triangle. So what we have here is a triangle with these 3 different angles, and we are going to prove the triangle angle sum theorem. So the angle sum theorem of a triangle is that angle A, which is this green one, plus angle B, which is our blue one, and angle C, together, when we add them all, they are to equal 180 degrees. That means that every single angle in a triangle adds up to 180 degrees all the time. And a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, why 180? So let's prove it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the angle from each different corner of this triangle, and I'm going to spread it out across this line. And we're going to see that it covers the entirety of that line. So first off, I'm starting with angle A, naturally. I'm going to tape that down. Then I'm going to go in and tape down angle B, and I'm going to press them right up against one another. Then I'm going to go and place angle C in there. And if you look at this, all of those angles together fill up the entire straight line. Now, if you remember from our previous lesson, what are straight lines equal to and measure? 180 degrees. So that is why all of the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So every single time you're presented with three angles that equal 180 degrees, you can use them to make a triangle. Continuing on the next page. So, triangle or not a triangle based on 3-degree measures? Well, we know now that in order for something to be a triangle, all the angles together need to equal 180 degrees. So we're going to test out if these measures actually equal 180 degrees, then it's a triangle. But if they don't, then it's not. So 50 degrees, 19 degrees, 111 degrees. Is this a triangle? Well, let's add the measures together and see if it proves to work. 50 degrees plus 19 degrees plus 111 degrees. 0 plus 9 plus 1 is 10, so I'll put down my 0 and carry my 1. 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 8. And then 1 plus nothing is still 1. So all of those degrees together give me 180 degrees. And we know that when we have 180 degrees, we have a triangle. So we can say, yes, it's a triangle. Moving on to the next one. We have 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and 46 degrees. And we need to see if this forms a triangle too. So I'm going to add 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and 46 degrees together. 5 plus 0 plus 6 is 11. 9 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 18. Now, all of those angles together give me 181 degrees. Is this a triangle? No, because in order to be a triangle, we need to have 180 degrees. So we have more than that at 181, so we need to say that this is not a triangle. Moving on to the next type of triangle angle question. So sometimes we're presented with triangles and we have a missing value. So we need to find the degree measure of the missing angle. And we're going to use our triangle angle sum theorem to calculate that, because we know all the angles in a triangle should equal 180 degrees. So looking at this first shape, I have a triangle here. I've got 25 degrees in this corner. A square in this corner, we should remember that that means 90 degrees. Anytime you see that box, it means 90 degrees because you have a right angle. And then we do truly have a missing mystery angle there. Well, in order to find the measure of this missing angle, we're going to use what we know all of the angles are equal to. So I'm going to set up a little equation. I know that 90 degrees plus 25 degrees plus my mystery angle is going to equal 180 degrees. So what I can say here safely, I'll put my little question mark in a box. What I can say here safely is that 115 degrees of my triangle's angles are accounted for right now. I just need to find out what that mystery angle is that's going to take my 115 degrees all the way to 180. And I'm going to solve this exactly like we solve one-step equations. What's happening to my mystery angle? Oh, well, I'm adding 115. So I'm going to do the opposite to solve and take away 115 from both sides. When I do that, I'll be left with my mystery angle, which ends up equaling 65 degrees. I get 65 when I subtract 180 and 115. If you are ever uncertain about the answer you get, you can always go back and add all your values together. If I were to take my mystery angle of 65, my 90-degree angle, and my 25-degree angle, and add them all together, I would land back at 180 degrees where I should. But my answer to this question is 65 degrees because that is the measure of my missing angle. On to the next problem. I have this triangle down below here, and I have two measures given to me, but I'm just missing my third. So that angle B there is going to be my missing angle. I'm going to use the same exact angle sum theorem that I used on the last question, where I added my values that I had, which was 100 degrees and 55 degrees, and that mystery angle of mine to equal 180, because that is what all the angles in a triangle need to add up to. I'm going to combine the values I have. 155 take me to 155, and 155 plus that mystery angle is going to give me 180 degrees. Well, how do I get from 155 to 180? We've got to figure out what that question mark is. So I'm going to take away 155 from both sides, and I'm left with my mystery angle equaling 25 degrees. Again, just like the last one, if you're ever in doubt if your answer actually fits, you can just add it with all your other numbers to see if you get back to 180. And 100 plus 55 plus now my mystery angle of 25 will certainly take you to 180 degrees. 25 degree will be your angle B. Thank you so much for following along and listening today. If you have any extra questions or confused about any of these concepts, your teachers would love to help you. You can reach us through It's Learning Messenger. You can also reach us through email and our Zoom office hours. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great rest of the day.